Welcome to today's episode of Did She Really Say That? The Truth Bomb podcast that is changing things up for women in business. Hi, my name is Chef Katrina and I'm joined by my co-host,
Heidi Muma.
And we're going to talk a straight talk around some of the things that we're seeing in business for women especially that is wasting their time.
Yep.
Causing them to lose money, honestly. And I think at the end of the day, it's what's causing part of that burnout that so many of us women experience in the world of designing our own business.
For sure.
For sure, right? So let's step back just a sec before we dive into this, because we've been seeing this more and more. The more women we talk to, the more women that are coming through Unlocking My Millions, coming through Truth Bomb Academy, we're seeing this is almost like in almost every single female we're working with. So the thing is that most of us women, when we talk about what drives us to be an entrepreneur, to start our own business, we want more flexibility.
Yep.
We want more time, and we want, financial security.
Yep.
We want to get paid what we're worth.
And we want to be able to have more time, quality time with our families that financial freedom provides.
Yeah. And so we decided to jump into the world of business. Some of us fall into business based on our post-corporate life. Mm-hmm. So things that we've done in the corporate world or things that we've done and that we're just really excited about. So we kind of take that in. I know a lot of women that start life coaching programs, ways to help each other. And I think this is a beautiful thing. I actually love that we're really, we have that caring attitude.
Yeah.
So we dive into businesses. And then what?
And then what is always the question. I know it's like, I'm doing bookkeeping now, and so I had a discussion with a lady that I'm doing it with, and talking about, it's like she comes across businesses that people want to sell. And they just come up, they've been building this business for 10, 15, 20 years possibly, and then all they decide is like, okay, I want to sell it now. And what? It's like, and then you look at their books, or she looks at even their business, and it's not worth squat. It's not worth anything because it's not in a sellable position.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do with a business that you had this fantastic idea? You went with this idea.
Spent your life building
Spent your life building this idea. But if you don't build the business with the end game in mind, or with what is the next phase, what is the next step in my business, it's like if you don't build it with something in mind, what you're just building, like it's like you don't have a goal, you don't have your line is very jig-jagged instead of straight and linear. And it's like you can't just decide, oh, I want to sell this business because I've made a lot of money doing this business. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look that way to somebody else. Or it's not even, but sometimes it's your business, but sometimes it's just an event.
Yeah.
That you don't have an end game for.
Well, and I think that's an interesting piece behind this. Like when I started building my one example definitely that I knew I had no end game for, which is why I folded it, was my coaching program. Mm-hmm. So when I built out my high ticket coaching program and I said, okay, I'm going to teach entrepreneurs. This time it was male and female that were coming through it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to break this down into 3 segments. And I was teaching the first thing of like designing your website, like how to keep it really simple, get a web page up, just get your offer up there, like get something like you own, right? Get your digital storefront up. That was my big thing.
Yep.
So just teaching the basics of how to get a storefront up. The next thing people want is once they get the digital storefront up, they go dive right into marketing.
Yep.
And so, of course, the next piece I'm talking about is then like, how do you market this? Like, what's your marketing funnel? Right now you have your store up. What's the product you're going to deliver?
Yep.
And so we then started talking about like, what's the course? And so we did like a digital course creation. Then we went into marketing. I skipped a part there. So we went first with, what is it you're intending to do, right? So we automatically think we just need to build the web page. This was my old school thinking.
Yeah.
Just so you know, this is very old school thinking. This is what it was taught to me by my business mentors. This is what I learned about how to build a business online over the last 15 years, was get the web page up, get a place to get the money, figure out what my offer was, have a place to sell it.
Yep.
Right? And then just start marketing the crap out of it.
Yeah.
I was really good at that. I could literally pull crap out of thin air, unfortunately, right? I had learned the skills over the last 15 years to at least have a basic understanding of how to put up a web page, an offer page.
Yep.
I knew the basics of putting together a course, right? Make something deliverable, teach somebody a new tactic or skill, and then just tell people that that's what I was doing, and I was making money. I was then teaching this same philosophy in my coaching program, the exact same thing. But what I recognize is that I am not duplicatable.
No, you're not.
That became a problem.
We're all so unique. We are not duplicatable.
And so, well, I thought I had this great coaching program. It was all relying on me. Mm-hmm. And the way of doing this and the wash, rinse, and repeat process of coaching wasn't actually becoming a turnoff. I wasn't as excited about doing one-on-one coaching that I was doing, or even the group coaching, because I didn't have an end game.
Right.
I did not know when this was going to stop. And I knew I couldn't keep taking on coaching client after coaching client after coaching client, right? And then at that point, what's next for those clients? Where do I hand them off to? That was always a big question for me. Like, who do I hand them off to for that next level of training? Because they can't learn everything from me. I'm not that amazingly awesome. Right?
Aww.
Yeah, you can say that. But like, there's people that know the next level above me, and I'm okay with that. So I went seeking and looking for people that were above me to hand my clients off to, mm-hmm. because I don't want them just floating in a sea of nothingness. I want to give them a place where they can, level up themselves, right? So what does this have to do with the time suck and the time waste that we often see with these women coming into businesses? Is that they don't have a business plan in place. Right. That really structures the business financially. I think when you were talking with the other accountants and your CPAs and your everybody else, that's like, I want to sell my business. Well, the first thing everybody looks at is show me your books.
Yeah.
Show me your finances. And I believe in a previous podcast, we were talking about how 80% of small business owners are barely getting by every 30 days. Like, they're literally that close to bankruptcy. And even some big corporations out there are like teetering on the brink of bankruptcy every single month.
Yeah. And I know it's like we're talking to a business broker and who looks at businesses to sell. That's what he does. And he says like over 40% of the businesses he looks at that people are looking to sell, like they feel like that they have a business to sell, that 40% of them are not sellable, completely not sellable. Whether it's their books or the structure of their business, because it's also, you have to look at how does your business run if you aren't there. So you said like with the coaching, it's like it totally relied on you.
Yeah.
If you're in a business where you are the salesman and you are the one
and
selling,
the deliverable
and the deliverable, yeah, right. It's like, how is your business isn't sellable? Because if you're not there, the next owner of the business isn't necessarily a salesperson, then the business isn't sellable. So it's like, instead of it just being you have to look at, how do I build a sales force? How do I build like other people who can sell this, and the owner isn't necessarily the primary person running every single thing in the business.
Well, and the other thing we talked about too as females in business is that most of us women don't sell off our business. Most of us. Not saying that some of us don't, but a lot of us will dissolve the business or just close the business because it was our dream.
Right.
It was something we were doing for a period of time. And because maybe we didn't set up the structure of that business, it just makes more sense to dissolve it because now it's convoluted.
Right.
Now there was a mix of personal and business finances.
Yeah.
How things were done didn't quite align with a setting of a business structure. So now it's unsellable also from that point of view.
What I also think about is like when you're looking at your business plan and how we are teaching women to create their business plan. And at the very end, I don't even know if we've really addressed it completely yet, but to have that end game inside, it doesn't even, I look at it, it's like, some businesses, depending on what your type of business is, it's not even like, it might be something like you sell off. Like if you're creating a product, maybe you sell off the structure of that product or something. It doesn't even necessarily, like it doesn't have to be like, okay, I'm selling this business and I have to have all of these things in place. But what if you just sold off a part of the business? Or like the business was set up and structured, and I'm just kind of throwing things out there that's a possibility. It's a possibility, because as I'm thinking about this, it's like there's some people, like, they create products.
Yep.
Like, I was following this lady on Instagram, and everybody, and by the time I started following her, it was probably a bad time, because everybody was really upset because she was at a point in her personal life that she needed to step back from the business. And she didn't want to sell the business. So she was basically, you couldn't buy her products anymore.
Yeah.
So it was like and all these people like loved her products and didn't know what to do without her products.
Yeah.
And so it might be now she wanted to have this to come back to. So she didn't want to sell it, which I totally respect. But if you're at a point where it's like where she was, is she has these physical products that she has created the formulas for, it might mean, it's like she could sell off one or two to create that income, but not sell off the entire business. So I think it's just to have like ideas in mind of what you want to do with the business.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so you know what you're aiming for, you know what you're working towards, you know what you want to build up, and you know how you want to structure it.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is I was on a call with 3 extraordinary ladies that came together, and they were collaborating to build an awesome summit for female entrepreneurs. And I was like, this is brilliant. This is amazing. They showcased that they were able to bring, well-rounded speakers, experts from different areas and industries, and brought them together for the summit. And then I was like, okay, what was the offer? Like, well, we didn't have one. And so a lot of the times I'm frustrated with including myself. My frustration is more at myself and just being there to support women and really advocating for the change in this conversation, right? There's so much training online, and especially in the digital space, for coaching programs, how to become a coach for this company and whatever, right? So now you're certified in their technique and everything else, then you're left on your own to really figure out like the basics, because their job was just to get you to coaching,
right?
Get you through their certification program, and then it's up to you to run the business. It's a 1099 now, right? And then I find women that are diving into the world of challenges. So we talk about the virtual summits. We talk about the 5-day, 3-day challenges, different versions of that are out there, which are all these lead generation tactics. Even webinars, right? So getting these webinars, you can do like a 3-day webinar series, dripping this stuff out. They called that the launch formula.
Yep.
That was really important. So they took the launch formula, which was a 3-day video series, and they turned it into the 5-day challenge. I mean, literally it's the same format. It's just been renamed. But you wouldn't know that unless you've been in this industry as long as I have and just basically seen everything repeat itself, just come up in a different format and different name. So what's interesting is that, they spent all this time and energy editing, creating the web page, doing the interviews, marketing, all of this. And at the end of the day, didn't really make anything from that. Right? They were told that their first year of hosting an event, they're going to just barely break even or not make any money at all. Right? And the thing is that with that many women that came together to present their expertise, for me, it's like if you set it up correctly as a business, if you went through Unlocking My Millions that we teach inside the Truth Bomb Academy, they would have had the exact structure, not only for their partnership, but then they would have seen the layout of how they're going to monetize this business. Yeah. Because even a freemium or a freebie is a monetization aspect, right? You're looking for, how does this convert into a sale? Right. And I think with a lot of women, sometimes we look at, I just want to help people. I really just want to help them. And I get that sense of not wanting to be greedy with money. I know that we have a lot of misconceptions, especially as women in business, around money, how we treat it, how we'd use it, right? And I just think that when you put that much energy and effort into creating a course, an event, a coaching program, a product, and you don't have a monetization scale to make sure you stay in profit, right, and you don't have a system that you can grow and scale off of, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. Yeah. And the only reason I can say that, ladies, is because I was there. Like, this is years of experience of having done this. This is years of experience of working with companies and being like, where do they go from you? Where do you hand them off? Like, what is, and we're so short-sighted, I think, as businessmen, because we want the money now for us, right?
Yeah.
This is typically the method. It's like, how much money can you make today? Complete your program with them, be done with them, hand them off. I think for me as a female, when I bring somebody into a coaching program, I want to know what's beyond me.
Yeah.
I want to complete the cycle. I want to make sure that they're supported inside of me. So it also requires that I continue to grow as an entrepreneur, but really inside of that female structure for doing this. Does that make sense?
Totally. There was something on the tip of my tongue and I forgot. So keep going.
No, and I just, we're going to wrap this up. We're keeping these a little bit shorter for our podcast for you all. But really, as a woman in business, the biggest holes, the biggest time waste we see happen for women is they're so focused on getting those freemiums and so focused on building that audience that what they're not taking into account is, okay, what's the end game for this? What is this going to turn into? How do I want this to weave into my life? Right? And I think that's the big piece is how it's going to weave in.
Yeah.
We get into business because we want a better life, and then we end up letting business run our life.
Right.
And so it's shifting that mindset. It's like, okay, I have a life and I have a business that I'm weaving together, and I need to make sure that I'm looking at the overall picture for how this is done. And I'm not going to be an expert at each one of these areas in my business plan, but now I know my holes.
Right.
And I know who to find or who I'm going to need on my team to fill these holes or these buckets to ensure the overall health of my company.
Yeah. And I think it was also what I was thinking was like when you're talking about these ladies doing the whole summit, and it's like, and there was nothing on the end of it. And it's like, well, it's like, and you run this and it's like, and you people, the thing is like you're building an audience.
You built a trust.
You built a trust. And then it's like if they get to, they're watching you do this, they're seeing what you're teaching, and it's like, and they are enjoying what you're teaching, hopefully. It's like, well, and then you just leave them hanging.
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of feeling do they have about your company, about your brand? What are you leaving them with that's going to make them want to come back in the future?
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind.
It is. And I think that's really important when you talk about that. It's like, what is the customer's experience?
Yeah.
We oftentimes as business owners get so wrapped up in what we're developing and how it's going to change somebody's life. But on the flip side, you have to put yourself in the customer's position and go, okay, how are they going to access this information? How are they going to use it? Is there an ease to this one? Am I making this too complicated? Am I throwing too much information at it? Do I need to dump? Like, you really need to bring people through and beta test and get their feedback.
Yeah.
And be okay with negative and positive feedback. It shouldn't all be pretty.
No, and actually, there was like I see posts all the time about people. I was like, oh, come on, haters! I'm not going to get you off my email list or my I'm not going to block you because you actually help me to be better at my communication too. So it's like, don't always look at the negative feedback as criticism or get your feelings hurt. Look at it and see how you're being perceived by the general public.
Yeah.
What are people saying about you when you're not around?
Yeah. So true. But I think for those that are like any woman in business, we are taught right now through digital marketing and training, we are taught, get the web page, have your product, start marketing. That is literally like, it took a 9-step business plan and tore out the back and the end part of the front part of it and the back part of it, which was like knowing your brand, knowing your marketing, knowing your product. It took a little bit out of the middle, which was developing your core product.
Right.
And then went straight to marketing. But inside of that, you missed your whole, like, what do you stand for as a company? What are your values that you want to bring to the table? What are your non-negotiables? They missed out on the whole financial structure of your business completely. And I was always pissed about that. I'm like, I'm making money, but I don't know how to keep the money. And
which is why so many of these companies who do want to go and sell are not sellable, because they never set up that financial structure.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, who's on my team? And so many times we think we have to be paying people to be on our team, but the reality is that there's a lot of different ways to bring people onto your team and compensate them.
Yeah.
Right. And I know we talk about that, and we're starting to dive more into that inside the Truth Mom Academy. And really, when you look at, okay, I've downloaded my playbook of Unlocking My Millions. We walk you through every single step of the process so you can get clarity, ask questions, and really understand what it is. And what's fascinating is that the women that are inside this training come from all walks of life. We have a florist, we have a dog breeder, we have, a coach, we have someone that's creating special events.
We have a Bali
travel
agent.
We've got somebody from Australia. I mean, literally the makeup of this. We have a candle maker that's in there. Like the women that are in here come from such vast different businesses, but what they all have in common is that they want their business to succeed.
Yep.
And to do that, they recognize they need that business financial education that's often missing from the traditional digital marketing training that is being made available.
Yep.
They're selling off the pieces of it, but really what we're putting back together inside the Truth Mom Academy is how do you make this whole and holistic for women?
And I like it.
Yeah.
It's going well.
If you are looking for a better way to build your business, if you've been stuck in your business, if you feel like you're not getting further ahead, if you really want to know what it takes as a female to grow your business without burnout and overwhelm, then head over to truthbombmarketing.com. Click on that link, join the Academy today, get inside of Unlocking My Millions, download your business playbook, and work through the process of designing a business that really fits your lifestyle and the season of life that you're in. So if you're watching us or listening to us on any of our podcasts, definitely we'd love for you to give us some feedback. If you're enjoying our podcast, we'll definitely take a 5-star.
5 stars.
5-star review.
Stars.
But then you help us really get this message out that we feel that so many women need to be having. Yes, there's traditional marketing out there. Yes, it still works, but it's time to shift the conversation to really support women in how we emotionally, hormonally, and cycle as women to better be at service, not only for our business, but for our family and for ourselves.
Yep.
So thank you guys for joining me. Head over to truthbombmarketing.com and we hope to see you inside the Academy.